we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
So I'll start talking to you about the water maker situation. So we did decide, which you probably all have already seen, but we're solid now on where we're putting everything for the water maker. And we are kind of spreading the system out over the boat, so it's taking a lot of hose and line to electrical wire and everything else, but given the size of our boat and our space availability, it is the best way for us to do it. So now I'm getting ready to start running all these lines, and I'll show you why I have so much and what I have here. So the lines you get with the water maker are all hoses measured in outside diameter. So you get 1/2 inch hose, but keep in mind it's outside diameter. If you look at typical plumbing, like household plumbing, PEX for instance, PEX is generally measured with inside diameter. So 1/2 inch PEX and 1/2 inch whatever they send us here, this is tubing, they are not the same thing. So you can't intermix PEX fittings with this stuff. Now, what I'm thinking, and I haven't verified, but this is 3/8 outside diameter. I think it's 1/4 inside diameter if we were going to talk about PEX, but I've decided not to really mix the two. So when I was looking to buy extra hose, what I found out is you do have to look for polypropylene hose, not PEX, because when you get into polypropylene hose, then they measure it in outside diameter. So I got to think that's probably what they've sent us here with the water maker is polypropylene hose. That's why they're measuring it that way. And you can then buy fittings for the polypropylene hose that will work on this. So that's the trick is to, say you're at a Home Depot, it's two different sections. The PEX section, the polypropylene section is different. You go over where all the hoses are and you'll find polypropylene hose, you'll find the fittings to work with it. So that's the key there. So this installation is very specific to the fact that we've got the remote control panel for the water maker, and therefore everything practically routes to that remote control, and we are putting it above the closet, so we have to run these lines, power lines, water lines, everything up the closet. And I've decided I'm doing that at the back wall of the closet because I can then make a false panel for the back of the closet to hide all that. And it should look, I think, pretty classy, and then you could take that panel off and access everything. So that is the plan. And the filters for the water maker are all going back in the engine bay. So that means we're running hoses, everything that goes from back there in the engine bay, everything that comes up here to the front of the boat. We got hoses running back and forth. Luckily we have the floors off. We got lots of room for hoses, so that's what we're doing. So I just ran the 1/2 inch outside diameter. Now I ran 2 of them, which I don't actually need both these, but what I found out is the blue one that they included with the water maker kit is not long enough to get from up here to back there. I came up about 2 feet short, but the polypropylene that I purchased at Home Depot is 25 feet, and I think what they send us is 20 feet. So 25 feet, I have a little extra on the ends. So I ran this one just to make sure how, I didn't know how much I had used to snake through the boat. So I wasn't sure until I ran the clear one that it was longer than the blue one. So now I will probably pull the blue one out. I will need some of that blue, but to do some things, but we don't need 1/2 inch outside diameter running back to the back of the boat. We don't really need one of those lines at this point. So so we're going to leave the clear one. We're going to take the blue one out, but we are going to run 2 runs of this 3/8 outside diameter. There is one of these that's going to take the fresh water back to the fresh water tank, and the other one of these is going to be a pressure monitor that will tell us the pressure back at the filters and take that up to the remote control. So that means that both of these lines, and I don't know how long the one they sent us is, probably we could run into the same length problem, but we're going to find out. Both these 3/8 lines have to run from the remote control back to the filters and back to the freshwater tank. So we're here in the closet, and it is a bit of a mess, but such as life here, we're drilling holes and doing all the things we're doing. But you can see the 1/2-inch polypropylene lines going down through the tunnel we made. You can see the battery cables. They're now running up to the motor for the high pressure pump. Notice that there's a positive one running up through, and it's just hanging out here, and that is going to be combined with another red line, which I have to buy more red number 4 wire here. So that runs up to the main switch, which is going to turn the pump off and on. So we have to intersect the red line here, so we have a switch, and then we have to pick it back up again and run back to the battery compartment. So that's where I'm at right now. Now I'm going to add these two 3/8 polypropylene lines, get them run through the tunnel and back to the back of the boat. All right, here it is. I don't think there's any neat way to do this, the way these things coil up. Okay, so we're making progress on the lines for the water maker. So there's control panels going up high up there, and there are 2 hoses running from the control panel that are running, not including the high pressure line that's running up there. So there's the fresh water out, and then there's the low pressure sensor hose that runs back to the filters. So about more polypropylene tube, this 1/4 and the 3/8, about 25-foot rolls, and even the 25 feet, by the time you snake it through the boat and all the way up there, is coming up a little short. So I just got these little push connectors. Literally just push the hose in and it locks. You can release it. They're pretty convenient little things. I just got those, and we're probably only gonna need a couple feet of extension, but we've got lots of the original hose that they sent us, so we got no problems there. Just using these little, decided just to use, I literally bought a huge commercial size bin of these little retainers, little galvanized retainers, and I'm going to use this to just keep this real tidy, because I can put these along the back wall and keep everything secured and organized. So I'm just going to use those with nice short screws. There's a paneling here that's over the exterior fiberglass of the boat, so as long as I keep short screws, I won't even, I know the boat's plenty thick, the walls of the boat are insulated, but I don't want to risk going in there too far at all. So just nice short little screws is all we need to hold all this stuff on, and away we go. I know this wooden block looks a little, I don't know, redneck, tacky. But the way I see this is we don't need to make things more complicated than they need to be. And the membrane for this system needs to be something you can change. So rather than devise a complicated system, I'm thinking about setting it right on this block, and then they give you these big straps that you can use to strap this thing down. So that'll support most of the weight, and then we'll strap it up against the wall here. You can cut it and put new straps anytime you want. So that, I don't see any problem with this. Fiberglass sides are tabbed into the wood here, so it's a little hard to screw into right there at the edge. So this is not permanent strapping right here. This is just so it's going to be loose while I'm working on it, but not fall. There. So loose enough to move and work with, but tight enough to not fall. And I put one up here on that side as well. It's loose also, so I can now start to plumb this thing. And then we've got these big straps that came with this thing. Look like this. And my plan will be to, well, I'm not sure yet. I think the plan would be to strap the whole thing around, but I'm not sure these are long enough for that. We'll figure it out. We might have to just put a ton of straps, but it should be fine. There's no real force on this thing. It's just sitting on the wood block, so might put more screws in the wood block. That's about all I think we're going to worry about. Happy day. Bottomed out real fast. Well, I hope that's good. Alright, so looking up, I just threaded that one on a little easier even. Question is, direction of this hose does not really suit my organization for the closet. It's taking up a ton of space. And so might just have to live with it because you can't bend this hose very much. So we got to get to talking about cutting an opening here and getting this panel mounted because we're getting close. Needs a 9x9 hole. Okay, so we're starting to get far enough along that it's time to sort out these filters. And the nice thing they do is they number these filters and they put arrows on them. So you just go in order. 7, 8, 9, actually, excuse me. 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, and so forth. You got these parts here with numbers on them. So you just follow in order the numbers. You make sure you get everything in the right spot. So Teflon tape on everything. And nice to be able to actually get to this stuff for once. Good. Okay, so to recap what's going on here. This is your water coming in. This is your seawater coming in right here. And it has to go this way. So it goes through the 2 filters 20 micron, 5 micron. And then this is heading up to the high pressure pump. This is that little tiny line that's checking the pressure at that point. So you got a little pressure line, and then you got your actual water line heading out. This is fresh water from your boat's water system that you use to flush the salt water and out of the system. So this has a timer on it, and this is where your boat water comes in. So you got to plumb fresh water from your boat to this guy. Right, so next step, the best I can figure it here, is we need to install these brackets on here, even though we're going to have to take them off again. But the only way we're going to be able to truly get the spacing right to get the screws in the exact spot is to mount these. So that's my plan, is to mount these guys, mark the holes to drill, then go from there. Good. Next step, mount. Mark the mount. So I've cut this piece of 1 inch. This is birch. It's a high quality plywood, and I'm going to use this as the mounting plate for these filters. And the reason is that this is mounting in the engine bay, and I plan to add a insulated application to the firewall between the boat and the engine bay for sound deadening and so forth. And that stuff's pretty thick, and I want to make sure that there's room. Get your hands behind these filters or your tool behind there. I just want to make sure there's room to take these guys off if I mount them to that firewall, and then I come in around them with this and behind them with this insulation. Then these things are going to be touching, like there's going to be no room back behind them. So this will elevate them out 1 inch from the firewall. I'll put the insulation right around this mounting board, and then I'll mount this on there. So that's the plan. That's why the mounting board. This also means that for the purposes of drilling these brackets in, or mounting these brackets, I could actually pretty well put the brackets on right away and I can mark them right here. So that's the plan. So I've drawn out a 9x9 square where the water maker control panel is going to go. And of course, stupid, got carried away, drew a line right off the side, which I probably can't clean off. So that's frustrating. It's a permanent marker, but we'll try to get it off. We weren't planning to paint this wall, so I don't know, maybe now we're painting this wall. We'll see. One thing always leads to another, right? So I got my board all sealed up, watertight, so it's going to be long, have some longevity in the engine room. Okay, ready? Ready to mount. So I'm sitting here in the engine bay, and I'll show you what I'm doing. Still working on water maker stuff. Now in my past, when I've done remodeling on houses, I have acquired a PEX crimper and stainless steel rings, and I went for that when I was doing work on plumbing work, because if you're gonna do PEX, the most common failures are right where they're crimped. So the stainless steel rings are a long-term solution for doing PEX to not have problems. And so the reason I'm doing this PEX on part of this project is because I mistakenly thought that the freshwater connection that we're going to put on the back deck of the boat and the freshwater in, for the flush on the water maker system, I thought those were conventional PEX. So then I started buying everything to convert over our boat freshwater system onto PEX so I could do it. Well, in the end, I have to buy PEX fittings for everything now, because it turns out it wasn't PEX, it was that polypropylene. But anyway, we're already kind of committed because I already started doing PEX. So I'll show you how I do it. So you put a stainless steel ring on the end. I pulled this extra far through, but I'm going to push it back down through. I'm putting in an elbow right where it comes from through the bilge from the inside the boat. We're going to immediately turn it, so we're going to put an elbow here. So this is why I just pulled out a little extra length before I finish connecting, where I can do this. So real easy to do. Put the elbow on there. This has two sizes. You can do 1/2 and 3/4. And you just get that thing on there like that. Squeeze. And that's solid. I've never had one of these leak once they're crimped. So the only problem with doing on a boat is if it ever did fail, you'd have a hard time doing anything with it. But this doesn't go to anything vital for the boat. You could go later or further back in the system and just cut it off. So I guess for that reason, I'm not that worried about it. Now, I haven't cut this to length yet, but we're going to go ahead and put it on here, get it in position, and then cut it to length. It's going to be, just trying to think about what's in the way. Now, when this goes back down, it'll actually be in the right place. So, crimping ring. Put it on. Make sure everything's right. Okay. Now, slide this guy back down into position. And I'll be able to run this hose up to where it needs to go and trim it there. Come on. So, I've been working on installing this quick connect spray port connector. You can quickly connect a hose for washing off the back deck or yourself, what have you, when you come out of the water. Even outdoor shower. I mean, there's a lot of uses for this. And our first idea was to mount it right into the back wall of the boat here, because this is lower than the kitchen countertop inside the kitchen. And I just about was ready to drill a hole and start to install this thing when I thought about the drawers in there and how deep this is, and realized that this guy's going to go all the way through the wall of the boat and then would impact the drawer inside. And luckily I didn't drill a hole before I figured that out. So revisiting this, now we said, okay, well, what if we put this right into the deck? Ideally somewhere you don't walk too much, because it's not the best thing to walk on. It is pretty flush, so in fact more flush than the existing water and fuel filler connections in the back deck. So right here is a little bit tight as far as clearance with the water filler neck there and the stairs there, and so that wasn't necessarily top of the list. So then we went over this side, because this is behind the door, and so we don't really walk much over here behind the door. And so then we said, okay, right behind the door down here on the deck seemed pretty good, but then underneath here is a bulkhead that gives strength to this, so that wouldn't really work. So now we're next to the propane hatch, And we're feeling pretty good about being right here next to this other water filler neck, which is the primary water tank. And we can get out of the way of everything if we put it right back here, which we like this because we're planning to switch the boat to all electric, in which case we're giving up on propane, and this is a big storage locker then, and that's a good place to keep the hose that would plug into this. So we're kind of liking that. It's right up at the top of the stairs, so you come up, you can have your water either already plugged in or you can plug it in and hose off right here at the steps. We're really liking that location. So, so I think I'm about ready to confidently drill a hole in the deck, which seems like all I'm doing lately is drilling holes in the boat. I'm ready to be finished with that. But anyway, water filler, quick disconnect, whatever you call that thing. We're just running the water pipes for the water maker right now, so it's a perfect time to be running any water pipes. So we're going to tee off the water line that's running to the water maker. We're going to run it over here to this spray port, and once everything's hooked up, we'll test it all out. So follow along. So seriously, I just drilled this hole and I thought I was filming it. I don't think it ever filmed. Not that you missed too much. It's just a very thick deck right here, a deep hole. Luckily we missed everything vital in here. Just took a couple minutes of drilling. I let it cool halfway. Hopefully, I think the hole might be a little small for this, but damn close. Damn close. Problem is making it a little bit bigger is not really easy, so maybe I should have, in hindsight, gotten a slightly bigger drill bit, but this is the biggest I had around. Yikes. Alright. But we're committed. That's where we're at right now. So there's a taper on this spray port, and I've already drilled quite a large hole. I mean, most of this, is fine, and we're just hitting, the hole's a little bit small for the full diameter of this, where this isn't tapered anymore. We're just hitting a smidge in there, so I'm thinking I kind of glad we did this. I don't have to go all the way through the full thickness at that width, but now I need to put a taper on the edge of the top edge of this. Rather than just drill the entire thing out, I could just taper this a little bit. Now I'm not sure the best way to do that. I'm gonna experiment a little with tapering that edge with what tool. I mean, geez, I've got Dremel tool, got this reciprocating saw. I mean, I've got jigsaw. I haven't got everything, but how to get that angle on there and do it. And this is fiberglass, so it's hard as hell. So I don't know. I'm gonna figure this out. Well, I'm inclined to stick it in there and then trim it off in place if I can get down in there and do it.
I don't know how you're going to peel the backing off of that, though.
Yeah, I know, that's a whole nother challenge, but right now it's sliding in pretty nice. Working around the propane is challenging. There we go.
Why did we start so many projects and it's so bloody hot?
I don't know. Now,
That was a real fun part.
the only thing is we figuring out how to peel the sticky off, huh?
Yeah.
Because that's brilliant. Almost. Thanks.
Yeah, that didn't look comfortable.
It's coming. Let me go down, reach down there and stick the bottom on way down there so that when I pull the paper, the whole thing won't come up. Oh man, that's a
You got it?
That was a professional looking job right there.
Put the camera in there and show them.
Hold on, I'm pressing it on.
Okay.
Oh, I did it flawlessly. Okay. Oh, yes.
That was the hard part, huh?
Yeah, that's one of the hard parts. Probably end up being the easiest part, though. I can't say it goes to the very top because I couldn't get it that high, but it's pretty dang close.
I'm gonna have to go buy some sunscreen soon.
The only problem I'm having is that I'm off course here on the direction of things. That's kind of sad.
Oh yeah.
I really wanted to not do that. But I could probably stick a little slice in there, I guess. So boy now. Oh. Nice, huh?
Yeah, you want to take that and give a little close up. Great. You got one more piece?
It tucked all the way down there. I can't see anything on this screen.
Hopefully it works.
Yeah, one more piece and we're done, so might as well get on with it. I think I may have actually acquired all the parts to actually do this finally. As you can see, I filmed a little of it. We ran the PEX earlier. Just slid in here and plugged that in, so that's nice. I just got to complete the hot water connection that we cut out. Okay, now let's plug it in.
Nice.
Nice. And the little ratchet is here. Surely. Well, we can't turn the water on yet because not everything's hooked up on the end of this, but pretty soon we'll be able to turn this on and make sure it's watertight. So we're about wrapping up the freshwater plumbing. You can see the PEX line right here. It's coming up from through the bilge, and you can see I've already put a loop on. That's the timer that will control when the fresh water is pushed through the water maker system to flush out any seawater or other things in it. So yeah, I got pretty hard squeeze there, but I got that baby in there and hooked up and twisted on. So, and then over here the spray port's going the other side. So I got the spray port with an elbow shark bite, just like I did on the going into the water maker. So I can drop that right in there and it'll get screwed on and sealed. But to get the pipe in, we're just going to put the T on here and cut everything to length and make it happen. Okay, first onto the bottom of the spray port. Okay, now I'm going to cut these to length. Right, that one's plugged in. Figure this stuff, figure out how we're going to do that. All right. All right, that one's plugged in. Make sure these are tight, right? Okay, so now I'm looking at hooking up the final lines for the water maker. And so we've already got the fresh water there, so we have three more, let me think about this. Yeah, 3 more lines to connect. So we're gonna sort that out right now. So make sure that everything's running the way we want it. All right, there's the pressure. Okay, I remember now. This little guy right here, he is our fresh water into the water tank. So he's in the right place, we just have to hook him up still. This guy is the filtered water running to the high pressure pump. It's gonna send it through reverse osmosis. So we're just gonna spin him around and hook him in right here. Okay, so we gotta hook up fresh water in and seawater. Fresh water into the freshwater tank, seawater into the seawater tank. And we're getting closer.